You ever notice how the men women obsess over aren't the loudest, the richest, or the most handsome? They're the ones who speak differently. Their tone, their boundaries, their reactions, they all send a message. And women feel it instantly. They feel the difference between a man who needs them and a man who chooses them, and there are 10 sentences, 10 rare lines that only that kind of man uses. Lines that cut through manipulation, end emotional games, and flip the power dynamic without raising your voice. If you've ever wondered why she chases one man while ignoring another, these 10 things are the reason. Learn them, and you stop running after women. Women start running after you. And before we break them down, you need to understand something crucial. What separates the men? Women forget. From the men they can't stop thinking about isn't effort, it's frame. The way you speak, the way you hold yourself, the way you respond under pressure. And everything begins with how you treat pursuit. Most men chase from insecurity. The men women chase move differently. So let's start with the line that flips that dynamic immediately. Number 1, I don't chase what isn't mine. There's a reason this line cuts deeper than any compliment a man could give. Women aren't drawn to effort. They're drawn to restraint. They don't obsess over the man who tries to win them. They obsess over the man they're not sure they've earned. That uncertainty is what wakes up their ego, their survival instincts, their need to feel chosen. Most men never understand this. They talk too much, try too hard, and give themselves away before a woman has even decided whether she respects them. Picture this. A man meets a woman he likes. She's attractive, playful, warm enough to keep him engaged, but distant enough to keep him guessing. Instead of holding his ground, he floods her with attention. Long texts, quick replies, unnecessary explanations, constant check-ins. Every time she pulls back, he leans forward. Every silence, he fills. Every delay, he tries harder. She doesn't feel desired. She feels smothered. And the truth hits him too late. The more he chased, the less she valued him. Women aren't complicated. They're responsive. They respond to a man's energy, not his intention. When a man signals that his attention is abundant and automatic, she stops working for it. But when he shows that his presence is a privilege, she recalibrates instantly. This line does exactly that. It isn't a threat. It isn't a tactic. It's a boundary. A declaration that he isn't here to prove himself or audition for her approval. He is here to observe, to evaluate, to choose. And that's when everything shifts. She starts paying attention. She starts wondering where she stands. She starts feeling the pressure he used to feel, because a man who refuses to chase is a man she doesn't want to lose. Let her come toward you, not because she has to, but because she suddenly realizes she wants to. Number 2. That doesn't work on me. Every woman, whether she admits it or not, tests the man in front of her. Not because she's evil, not because she wants chaos, but because she wants clarity. She wants to know what kind of man she's dealing with. One she can move or one she must respect. And the fastest way she uncovers that truth is through emotional pressure. A cold tone, a delayed reply, a sudden shift in attitude, a subtle withdrawal, just enough tension to see whether he breaks. Most men crumble immediately. They chase reassurance. They apologize for things they didn't do. They over-explain, overreact, or overcommit. And in that moment, without realizing it, they reveal their entire emotional landscape. They show that they fear losing her. They show that her mood dictates their state. They show that they can be controlled. Attraction dies long before the man ever notices. Now picture the rare exception. A woman goes silent to provoke anxiety. She expects confusion, effort, maybe even confrontation. Instead, he's calm, collected, unbothered. When she finally pushes harder, sharp attitude, clipped responses, a jab meant to destabilize. He looks at her with steady clarity and delivers the line she never expects. That doesn't work on me. Everything inside her stops. Not because he's being cold, but because he's exposing her strategy. Because he isn't moved by the emotional bait she's used on every other man. Because her patterns fail on him. His steadiness forces her to adjust, reflect, recalibrate. Now she's the one on unfamiliar ground. Women don't respect the man who reacts. They respect the man who cannot be swayed. This sentence is not a fight. It's not defiance. It's a mirror reflecting her behavior back at her. And once she realizes she can't control him, she starts wanting something deeper, his approval. Number 3, I think you need space. I'll let you take it. There is nothing more disarming to a woman than a man who doesn't panic when she pulls back. Most men fall apart the moment a woman becomes distant. They replay every conversation, blame themselves, send double texts, try to fix a problem that may not even exist. That desperation kills their presence, their confidence, their value. Women feel it instantly, and once they sense fear, the dynamic shifts. He becomes the one waiting. She becomes the one choosing. But there's a different kind of man, the one who refuses to participate in that emotional seesaw. When a woman withdraws, he doesn't chase. He observes. He steps back just as calmly as she does, and instead of scrambling for reassurance, he names the truth she hoped he wouldn't see. He looks at her with steady composure and says, I think you need space. I'll let you take it. The impact is immediate. Her confidence wavers. Because she expected him to close the distance, not match it. She expected him to fight for her attention, not hand her the freedom she assumed he feared. His detachment forces her to confront a reality she's not used to. This man is not anchored to her reactions. He doesn't cling. He doesn't beg. He's willing to lose her rather than negotiate his self-respect. Women don't spiral because a man steps back. They spiral because he steps back without resentment, without insecurity, without resistance. That calm distance rewrites the power dynamic. Suddenly, she's the one checking her phone, wondering if she misread his interest, questioning whether she pushed too far. That space she once used as leverage becomes the very thing that makes her chase. This line is not about punishment, it's about clarity. A man who can let her go is the man she can't stop thinking about. Number 4, I want you, but I don't need you. Few sentences shake a woman's ego the way this one does. Not because it's harsh, but because it cuts straight through the illusion she relies on. The belief that a man's interest automatically means dependence. Women are wired to sense emotional imbalance. The moment they feel a man needs them to feel whole, to feel confident, to feel chosen, the attraction fades. Neediness suffocates desire. It signals emptiness, insecurity, and a lack of direction. And nothing dries up female interest faster. Imagine a date where a man is clearly captivated, she smiles and he overreacts. She pauses and he fills the silence. She shares a detail and he clings to it like it defines their future. Every gesture screams, "Please like me." She senses it. She labels him instantly. Predictable, safe, replaceable. A man who needs her validation is a man she can walk over without consequence. Now picture the opposite. She's beautiful, charming, magnetic. Most men would melt. But this man is grounded. He listens, speaks with intention, holds his posture, and lets the conversation breathe. She tries to test his composure, teasing him, flirting a little too boldly, pulling back to see if he'll lean in. He doesn't. And when the moment calls for honesty, he tells her the truth with a calm confidence that rattles her nerves. I want you, but I don't need you. Her body reacts before her mind does. Because this is the paradox she can't resist. He desires her, but his life doesn't revolve around her. He's choosing her, but from a place of fullness, not emptiness. He's present, but not dependent. That balance is rare. It signals abundance, discipline, self-worth. It tells her she'll have to earn her place, not be handed it. Women don't fantasize about being needed. They fantasize about being chosen by a man who stands strong with or without them. Number 5. My attention isn't free. You have to earn it. Every woman claims she wants a man who is attentive, available, emotionally present. But the psychology behind attraction tells a different story. People don't value what requires no effort. They value what demands investment. When a man gives unlimited attention, instantly, effortlessly, without any standards, he teaches a woman one thing: his time costs nothing. And if his time costs nothing, neither does he. You've seen it happen. A man meets a woman he likes and immediately rearranges his entire world for her. He replies in seconds. He cancels plans. He over-prioritizes her schedule. He makes himself endlessly accessible, hoping she'll appreciate the effort. She doesn't. In fact, she pulls away. Not because he's a bad man, but because he's a man who's made himself too easy to access, too predictable, too abundant. Attention that comes without boundaries never feels meaningful. It feels forgettable. Now consider the man who values his time like a currency. He listens intently, engages fully, but only when it's earned. He doesn't hand out validation like candy. He's not a source of free emotional entertainment. He's selective, intentional, unhurried. When a woman teases him about being slow to reply or jokes about his mysterious energy, he doesn't apologize or compensate. He simply tells her the truth. My attention isn't free. You have to earn it. Those words flip her entire frame. Suddenly she's not above him. She's in competition with herself. She wants to qualify. She wants to stand out. She wants to be the woman he chooses to give his time to. Scarcity activates desire, but earned attention activates obsession, because when something requires effort, it becomes valuable. And when something is valuable, she fights to keep it. This sentence isn't arrogance, it's self-respect, spoken out loud. And nothing is more attractive to a woman than a man who treats his attention like the privilege it is. Number 6. I don't compete for women. Women compete for me. There's a specific moment in every connection when a woman tests a man's sense of worth. She'll mention other men who want her. She'll hint at options. She'll drop subtle comparisons meant to trigger jealousy, not because she's planning to leave, but because she wants to measure his stability. Will he panic? Will he argue? Will he try to outperform imaginary rivals? Most men do. They step right into the trap. They start persuading, proving, performing, and the moment they do, the dynamic collapses. A man who competes for a woman communicates one thing: she is above him. But the man who refuses to compete sends a different message entirely. Imagine a conversation where she casually mentions another guy texting her. She expects tension, maybe a defensive jab, maybe a worried shift in tone. Instead, he stays relaxed. No insecurity, no reaction, no need to protect his ego. When she pushes for a response, testing just a little harder, he answers with calm authority, I don't compete for women. Women compete for me. Her world tilts in an instant, because this isn't the script she's used to. She's used to men scrambling for position, proving they're better than the next guy. She's not used to a man who views himself as the prize. A man who understands his value. A man who doesn't operate from scarcity, jealousy, or fear. His stillness exposes her game and rewrites the hierarchy in one breath. This line isn't about arrogance. It's about alignment. A man with options doesn't chase validation. He doesn't audition. He doesn't perform for attention. He stands firm in what he brings to the table and lets the right woman step toward him. The moment a woman realizes he won't compete, she begins competing with her own doubt, her own insecurity, her own desire to be the one he selects. And that shift changes everything. Number 7, disrespect me once, I'm gone. Every woman, no matter how confident or emotionally mature, will test the integrity of a man's boundaries. Not because she wants to break him, but because she wants to understand him. She wants to know where the line is, if there is one at all. Most men fail this test instantly. A sarcastic comment, a dismissive tone, a subtle jab at his confidence, and he laughs it off, pretends it doesn't bother him, or worse, apologizes as if he caused it. That reaction tells her everything she needs to know. This man will tolerate what he shouldn't. If she can cross small lines without consequence, she can cross bigger ones too. Respect evaporates quietly, and attraction follows right behind it. Now picture a different man. A woman teases him in a way that cuts too deep, or she slips into a tone that drips with entitlement. She expects him to brush it off like the others do. Instead, he looks at her with calm clarity, no anger, no theatrics, no emotional spike, and gives her the truth she didn't expect to hear. Disrespect me once I'm gone. The silence after that sentence hits harder than any argument ever could, because she can feel he means it. There's no threat in his voice, no ego, no attempt to scare her. It's simply a standard, a non-negotiable. His tone tells her he's walked away before, and he'll do it again without hesitation. That's what shakes her. Women don't respect men who tolerate everything. They respect men who protect themselves, men who understand that affection without boundaries becomes weakness, and weakness becomes resentment. When a man sets a boundary without emotion, he becomes someone she can't easily replace. This line isn't about punishment. It's about self-preservation. And the moment a woman realizes he values himself more than the possibility of losing her, she starts valuing him more than she ever planned to. Number 8, I'd rather be alone than with the wrong woman. This sentence is the quiet earthquake every woman feels beneath her feet, because it strikes the one fear she can't hide. The fear of a man who doesn't fear solitude. Most men tolerate far too much just to avoid being alone. They cling to lukewarm connections, excuse disrespect, and negotiate their standards because the thought of losing a woman, even the wrong woman, terrifies them. Women sense this dependency immediately, and once they sense it, the balance shifts. She becomes the one evaluating. He becomes the one hoping attraction fades, because a man who is afraid to stand alone will never be seen as a man who can lead. Now imagine a woman trying to push a man into emotional compliance. She becomes colder, shorter, more dismissive. She expects him to chase, to plead, to reassure her ego. Maybe she throws a subtle ultimatum. Maybe she withdraws to see if he'll crumble. But instead of bending, he stays steady. No desperation. No performance. When she tries to force him into choosing between his dignity and her approval, he chooses neither. Instead, he gives her a truth that slices clean through the game. I'd rather be alone than with the wrong woman. The impact is immediate. Her confidence flickers. Because this is the one kind of man she can't manipulate. The man who views solitude as power, not punishment. She suddenly realizes he isn't holding her hostage emotionally. He isn't trying to win her. He's evaluating whether she fits the life he's building, and if she doesn't, he walks, not angrily, not dramatically. Simply because a man who knows his path won't let anyone pull him off it. Women don't chase men who collapse for them. They chase men they fear losing because those men don't fear losing them. And this sentence reveals a truth she won't forget. She either rises to match his standards or she removes herself from his world. Number 9. You feel cornered right now, don't you? There's a moment every man eventually encounters. A conversation where her emotions spike and the room shifts. Her voice sharpens. Her body closes off. She throws accusations that don't match the situation, or she goes stone cold and forces silence into the space like a weapon. most men take the bait. They apologize for things they didn't do, scramble to fix feelings that aren't theirs, or match her intensity with panic of their own, and without realizing it, they step directly into the emotional trap she set, not out of malice but out of fear. What most men never see is the truth behind her reaction. Underneath the anger, the withdrawal, the tears, or the attitude, there's almost always something else. Fear. Fear of losing control, fear of being exposed, fear of not measuring up, fear of being rejected first. Women rarely communicate these fears directly. They cover them with noise, drama, defensiveness, emotional smoke, screens designed to shift attention away from the vulnerability underneath. But then, there's the man who sees through it. Instead of reacting, defending, or absorbing the blow, he stays still. He watches her. He listens beneath the surface, and when the timing is right, he names what she hoped he wouldn't notice. With calm precision, he says, "You feel cornered right now, don't you?" Everything in her collapses at once. Because he didn't fight her emotion, he exposed it. He didn't escalate. He didn't retreat. He identified the truth she tried to hide, and in doing so, he disarmed the entire performance. This isn't dominance, it's clarity. A mirror held up to her emotional state with zero judgment. Women don't forget the men who see them clearly, because a man who can read the emotion beneath the reaction is a man she can't manipulate, can't confuse, and can't overpower. He forces honesty, not through force but through perception, and that level of understanding is rare enough to haunt her. Number 10. With or without you, I win. This is the sentence that separates men who revolve around women from men who revolve around purpose, and women feel the difference instantly. Most men, even the well-intentioned ones, fall into the same pattern. They subconsciously place a woman at the center of their identity. Their motivation depends on her approval. Their emotional stability depends on her warmth. Their sense of worth depends on her choosing them. A woman might enjoy that power for a moment, but she never respects a man who builds his world around her, because deep down she knows, a man who can't lead himself can't lead her either. Now imagine the opposite kind of man. He cares for her, he's present, attentive, engaged, but his life isn't defined by her reactions. His goals aren't paused when she becomes distant. His discipline doesn't crumble when she's upset. She tests him, pushing to see if she can pull him off his path, if she can become the center of gravity in his life, but he stays steady, unwavering, uninterested in the emotional tug-of-war. And when she challenges his dedication to his mission, he answers with calm conviction, "With or without you, I win." The air shifts when he says it, because she realizes instantly that his identity doesn't depend on her validation. He isn't using her as a purpose placeholder. He already has direction. He already has momentum. He already has a life that moves forward, with her or without her. That level of independence is rare enough to be intimidating, yet attractive enough to be unforgettable. Women don't obsess over men who need them. They obsess over men who choose them without sacrificing themselves. This sentence communicates strength, self-sufficiency, and trajectory. It tells her she can be part of his world, but he will never dismantle his world to keep her. And that's the kind of man a woman thinks about long after he's gone. A man's words only carry weight when they come from a place of authority, self-control, and emotional independence. And that's the truth most men never learn. They repeat phrases they don't embody. They try strategies without substance, and they expect attraction from women who can sense weakness in a heartbeat. But the power behind every sentence you just heard has nothing to do with memorizing lines. It comes from the frame underneath, the quiet, unwavering foundation of a man who refuses to negotiate his worth. Women don't fall for the loudest man or the richest man. They fall for the man who doesn't fold under pressure, The man who doesn't abandon himself to keep someone else. The man who doesn't fear space, silence, or solitude. A man like that stands out in a world full of over-explainers, over-apologizers, and over-available nice guys, hoping that effort alone will buy affection. It never does. The reality is simple but brutal. Women remember the men who make them feel something. Not comfort, not safety, but polarity, tension, respect. The awareness that he is not theirs by default, that he can walk away at any moment and rebuild without them. That kind of presence leaves a mark. It becomes a reference point, a memory that lingers in quiet moments, a standard she measures other men against long after the connection ends. Each of the 10 lines you've heard exists for a reason, not to manipulate, not to dominate, but to protect you, to help you filter out the wrong women while attracting the ones who respond to strength, to keep your emotional center intact in a world where men lose themselves far too easily. These sentences are tools, expressions of a frame that makes you unforgettable. If you're here, it's because you're done playing blind. You're done being reactive. You're done stepping into relationships with no leverage and hoping things work out. This channel exists to give you the perspective. Women will never say out loud, but always respond to. So if you're ready to stay ahead, ready to understand what actually drives female desire, then stay here, like the video. Leave a comment, subscribe. Because the truth is simple. The man who misses this knowledge loses his advantage, while the man who learns it becomes the one she can't forget. And once you step into that version of yourself, everything changes.